let's assume that they have never heard of Reformation before.
Okay.
Can you explain to us what that is?
How much time do I have?
Well, we have several more questions left, so take that. I don't know.
Okay, well, the Reformation is a movement within the church that brought about what we would call Protestantism. Mm-hmm. So Protestantism came about as a result of the Reformation. Mm-hmm. Usually that's linked back to Martin Luther and what he did on October 31st, so the same day as Halloween, in 1517 in the town of Wittenberg in Germany. So there had been a practice, many unfortunate practices that were associated with Catholicism at the time. But St. Peter's Basilica, which is in the Vatican in Rome, was being built, was being constructed at this time. And it was kind of like, it was going to be this Pope's signature work. Like, this is the thing he was going to be known for. And so part of how they were funding the Basilica was with this doctrine that had been passed, essentially created in years past, that people could give money as on behalf of deceased loved ones. They could give money to the church and as an offering on their behalf that would shorten their time in purgatory. And Luther didn't like it. Luther thought the way that it was being done, not that he necessarily disagreed with indulgences across the board, but the way that people were basically being bilked for the construction of St. Peter's Basilica. He was not fond of that. So Luther wrote what was called 95 Theses. This was 95 arguments against indulgences. And what he did with that is he nailed it. He nailed it to the door of the Wittenberg church, the Wittenberg Cathedral, which was a common practice for the scholars, the priest scholars who taught in essentially the seminary there. But what happened is somebody got a hold of that, and the printing press, the Gutenberg printing press, had been invented at this, but was still pretty new. Somebody ran a bunch of copies of it on the printing press, and it got distributed. And people found out that this was happening, and it began a movement of people rising up and saying, we don't like what the church is doing.